Hey guys, and welcome to Danglers Sea Fishing. Tonight I'm fishing Freshwater Bay. Now let's get fishing.
Daddy's going fishing.
Pick up the rod and tie your line. Danglers here, it's fishing time. Cast it out and feel the breeze. Watch the water dance with ease. Hook, line, sinker, hear that cheer. Danglers catching fish right here. Reel it in, don't let it go. Every catch is quite a show.
Hey guys, so as I said, I'm fishing Freshwater Bay. Today I'm doing something that I would never normally do. I do this extremely rarely, but it feels like all the things have all come together at exactly the same point that it feels like it's the perfect time to come out and try this. So today I'm in search of a big bass. So I'm not talking, you know, 5-6 pound, I'm talking 8 pound plus here. We're going for big bass. So we're going really big baits. I've real scaled down my light. You'll find that my light is shining off to the side. It's literally only lighting up over there. I've only got it on one setting. I've had to lay it all right down to try and reduce it, to reduce the amount of light that's on there. We're going to be fishing really close in. We've got some big rollers rolling in here, and it looks like it should produce a good bass. I mean, just because we're putting a big bait out doesn't mean you're not gonna still get those sort of 4 or 5 pound bass. They've got some massive mouths. They will still take some very big baits, but we're gonna target ourselves for one of those real big girls. The reason I'm doing that now is this is the ideal opportunity. We're just at the 2nd of November, so it's literally just October to November, I think, is that time when you've got that best chance of getting those real big girls. So we've come down here. I don't normally do this as a video because it's quite boring fishing. There's not really a lot going in, and if there isn't a big bass around, I'm not going to catch anything. It's one of those. It's a everything or bust. So we're going to give it a go. Anyway, I'm going to talk through what my tactics are, how we're going to do it, and then we're going to get some baits in the water and we're going to get fishing. So, as I said, big baits. So that is one of my baits. That's a large English squid. So we're going to put this on as is. I'm just going to have one of the hooks coming out the top and one at the bottom. I'll whip it up. Very large bait. As you can see from the size of my hand, that is not messing around. And then on the other one, we've got a mackerel head and guts of a proper size mackerel, not a little joey. These are not small mackerel. I was tempted to put out a whole one, but we're going to start with just a head and we're going to see what we can find on that one first. I haven't brought a huge amount of baits with me. I brought 6 baits. I brought 2 spider peelers. I've brought 2 of the extra large English squid, and then I've bought 2 large mackerel, and that is all I've got. So the rigs we're using tonight. So the rigs I'm starting with are running ledgers. I've got them on 6/0 hooks. So I'm gonna have a 6/0 pennel, which I'm gonna bring down, and this is just gonna pop out of the top of that head. So I'm just gonna have that like that. I don't normally use hooks this size, but it's because of the size of the bait. The reason that you should up your hook size is you should match your hook size to the size of your bait. If you're using large baits, you need to use large hooks to make sure that you've got them nice proud hooks. Otherwise, all you're going to do is you're going to end up with foul hookups because the hooks are not there to hook up. So that is how I'm going to have these hooked up. I'm just going to whip that up a little bit, and I'm just going to slice into this body to make sure this bleeds out. As you can see there, I've just put an incision there down in the gut line. That should just help with a scent trail. These are going to be dropped in short. So as I said, scaling all my lights back and everything, try and minimize. We've got quite a good moon, which will help. That does give me a little bit more of an advantage for the fact that my lights are not going to be too effective. I mean, they're a permanent on light. They're not lights that are turning on and off. With my head torch, I'm going to be using the green mode tonight. So if you do see me chatting to you with a green light on, it's because I haven't noticed it's still on. It does happen. But I'm just whipping these up, and then this is how those baits are going out. So as I said, we're not messing around here tonight. These are big old baits. So got them on a long running ledger. This is it's probably about a 2.5, 3 meter running ledger. The reason I like using a running ledger like this is I like to have that sort of room to allow that to move around in the surf, and then the weight will set the hook. These are glued running ledgers, so I've just got a bead glued in place for locking it. The reason I'm doing that is it doesn't weaken the line. I don't want to crimp on there because I don't want to weaken that sort of point at which the bead is set. I'd rather the bead moved, but the bead sort of stops in there, and then that's still got a lot of room to fish. So as for the squid, again, 6.0 running ledger. But this one, what I want is I just want to put a bit through the bottom of that body, and then I want to come down and I want to come out of the head. I want to tuck those guts up inside this so that it's not quite as dangling as it is at the moment. And then my circle, that is my top of my pennel, I am just going to put into the very top of the squid. We're going to try and reduce the amount of elastic that we've got on this. So we're just going to elasticate the top and the bottom. The reason I'm doing that is I want this to look very natural in the surf. I want this to move around with a very sort of natural sort of pattern. But I want to make sure that my hooks are well secured. So, a couple of nice turns around the circle at the top. Then what I'm going to do is I'm literally just going to work my way down that body just slightly, just a couple of turns, and then when it comes down to this at the bottom, I'm going to whip like crazy around this bottom hook because I want that tucked in nicely, but I want to make sure I've got this hook sat nicely sitting out of this head, and I want this head to stay with the body. Doesn't matter about them long tentacles, that's fine. I want them to move around in the surf, but I want this head to stay attached to the rest of the body. We want this to be hit hard. Bass don't mess around normally when they hit baits, they hit them hard. But they have very big mouths. So that's how we've got that. So we've got our top hook there, and our bottom hook is just sticking out of the head down the bottom here. So in terms of distance, they're not going to be far out. The mackerel bait, I think I'm going to put off to my left. There's a bit more turbulent water over on that side where it's pushing in, and I'm going to put that in between the wall and the first set of rocks, probably about 20 yards out. And then the squid bait I'm going to be putting out just to my right. There's a little rock wall down there that sort of runs out parallel with this slightly deeper water that's right in front of me, and that's probably going to be maybe a little bit further because there is a little feature out there that I want to just sort of be around that I think might hold them bass. So baits are in. As I said, it's going to be quite stealthy this, so the lighting won't be brilliant. The other thing is it is a bit of all or nothing, this type of fishing. It's generally a case of if there's a good bass there, we're in the right place, right time, right tactics. But if there isn't any bass out there, we're probably not even going to get a bite. There's some huge swells here, so that generally tends to bring in the bigger bass, which is what we're looking for. I'm going to be right next to these rods. I'm not going very far because I've got them partially on a ratchet. I don't like full ratcheting it. So what I've done is I've got them on a fairly loose drag, but enough that I can set the hook. So the area I'm fishing in, there's a big sort of chalky ledge just off to the right hand side of where I am, and then deeper water right in front of me, and then to the left goes into the deeper part of the bay. So we've had some pretty strong westerlies, which have pushed in some good swells round here, and that has pushed in this swell right into this this bay. This bay can get some really good rollers. Sort of mixed ground. We're not fishing a huge amount of time tonight. Probably around 3 hours. Sort of the idea is to fish about an hour up. We're about an hour off the top of the tide at the moment, and then 2 hours down. Now I don't think it's likely because of how rough it is, but you can get some pretty big congers down there, and the baits that we've got out there are quite sort of popular baits for congers. So we could see one. I mean, they do come into the shallower water, but generally when it's this rough, it tends to push them out a little bit more. So the rods I'm using are my Sonic SK3s, and I've got them on my Fathom 2s, which have got 25-pound Asso Ultra cast line and a 70-pound shock leader. Down here it can be quite rough. Oh, that was a bite on the squid. Looked like a smaller bite though, looked like something pecking at it. Definite bite though. Remember, we got those big long tentacles on there, they're bound to attract some attention. Could be pout. Yeah, so I've using my my Pen Fathoms because it is quite rough ground in places around here. You can get dragged into a lot of snags, so it gives me a chance to sort of pulling myself out of them. And the reason I've got the Sonics is not just because they're a bit stiffer, it's because they're shorter. Because they're only 13 foot, it just means that if I do get pushed up here a little bit during the high tide, I've got that little bit of cushioning that, you know, I can still lob a bait out. They're also quite stiff, so they can handle that real big bait. These waves that are coming in are huge, and I'm sure you can sort of hear them, but the power that is out there is immense. You do not want to go in that water, put it that way. So with a soft tip rod, the difficulty you'd have is you'd have so many sort of knock recognitions on this. It'd make it really hard to even tell. Where these are a bit stiffer, you can sort of see it more as a rhythmic sort of, because we are in that surf zone and we are quite close, we are getting a lot of movement. Even though there's some nylon, because it's not a lot of nylon that's out there, it does make it sort of more instant bite detection. You're not getting a lot of stretch out of that line because of the length of it. So I'm fishing with my green light. The reason I'm fishing with a green light is I don't really like red light. I know it's less detectable than green light, but I find that I really struggle to see things in the red light. So I do prefer to use a green light just because it's easier for me to be able to see. With the waves, it's normally quite sort of slow rhythmic movements. What we're looking for is a very fast and considerable movement for it to indicate a fish. Can get mistaken with weed. Luckily there's not too much weed by the obvious state, but we're looking for a solid slam over really. They are on a ratchet as well, so I would expect to hear the ratchet go because there is a drag. It's not It's not fully off. I haven't got them on free spool with the ratchet on. I've got them on a light drag and then the ratchet. I just like to have a little bit more just to help set that hook. Problem with this type of fishing is it's so full on, I think. Like, you have to be so attentive. That looked like a possible bite on the green one. Yeah. Oh, I missed him. Oh. Yeah, boy. There we go. And that's how we do it, boys. Woo! Well, guys, there we are. £4.14, that one. Not a bad size fish, not the big ones we were after, but as I said, nice fish. It is bleeding quite a bit, so I think this one is going to have to come home, unfortunately. But absolutely smashed it. Smashed the squid, this one. Anyway, let's work out what we're going to do with this one, and then get some baits back out there and hopefully get another fish. But absolute beauty. So there we are, £4.14, first cast. I'll take that, that wasn't too bad. Unfortunately, it was really deep hooked in the gills and it was bleeding heavily. So I've had to take that one. I don't normally like taking bass. I'll take the odd one, but it's not going to go to waste, it will go to dinner. Not quite the real big girl that we're after, but not a bad start. As I said, those big ass baits, that was a big bait, and you know, that thing swallowed that right down. Just goes to show how big a bait they will take. It's quite nice when you come with a plan and you hit it nice and quick. But it's that real big girl we're after. But there's bass here, that's the positive. Well, there was at least one. So no interest on the mackerel head yet. And it might be the positioning of it out there, so I will try and swap them over later. Because as it turns out, there's actually 4 squid in that pack. So I've actually got 4 squid to go at. Got 3 left. So the bait, the fish bait that's been on the red rod has probably been out there for about an hour. So I am probably going to check that one in a minute. See what state it's in. But what I'm thinking of is I'm probably going to up that bait size. Because we're looking for that real big fish, we need real big baits. Those really big bass, they're quite lazy creatures. They won't go for something that's not worth the effort. You know, these are big fish. It takes a lot of energy to keep those fish moving. So they're not going to waste their energy hunting down small bits of food unless it's in huge abundance. So I've just whacked a fresh squid out on the red one. Unfortunately, the fishy bait, I think, must have got picked up by a crab or a lobster or something and dragged into a hole because it was just snagged up. I mean, it can just roll into them. It wasn't a slightly snaggier area. I've actually moved it a little bit further to closer in front of me to try and avoid being quite so close to that big snaggy ledge that's on the right-hand side. I mean, I've only brought 3 reels out with me today, and I have no spare leader because I bought 4 rigs with me and I brought 4 weights. So I'm 1 down. If I happen to lose another leader, then that would mean I'm down to 1 rod. But as I said, it's a short session. It was just to come out, see if we can find a big girl. So we are at the top of the tide now. We have been fishing about an hour. So the reason I've gone with squid on the red one now, as well as the green one, is not because I think that squid is the better bait. It's because I don't have any more 6-0 running ledgers. So I've had to put the red one on 5-0 circles. So that's got 2 5-0 circles on the running ledger. And because that squid is a slightly smaller bait than the mackerel, for example, I think it just holds those hooks out a little bit better. So when I bring the green one in, which will be in about 15 minutes, I'll probably look to change that for a fishy bait. And there we are, guys. While the camera just flicked off, that one started bouncing. The red one that had only just gone out, and I said there was going to be another species that we could potentially see, and there he is, the strap conger. There could be some bigger ones out there. If there is, they put up quite a decent fight, especially in these kind of swells. Anyway, let's get this one back and hopefully find a bass instead of these guys. So this time I'm opting for a whole mackerel on the 6-0s. So I've got my circle at the top there. I've just taken the front of the nose off just to make it bleed a little bit more, and I've sliced up all up the belly before wrapping it all up, just to make this bleed out lots. Hopefully that should attract lots of attention. Right, so with the squid one, what I did was the bait that had been attacked by the eel, it lost its head and it had a bite out the side of it, but it wasn't too bad. So I've wrapped the body up and popped that back on that one. Just ping that one out a little bit in the middle. Again, we're not fishing very far out at all. Then with the mackerel head, I've just flicked that out over here. I mean, when I say I'm flicking them out, I'm only saying sort of 20, 30 foot away from me. They're not very far out at all. I'm fishing sort of in this sort of rough water that is in front of me, and sort of this line of the wall that the fish are going to be patrolling. Oh, nice. Well guys, that's an unexpected surprise. There we are guys, wasn't expecting one of these, but it's a nice welcome surprise. Went for the whole mackerel. £2.11 this guy. Don't get that many good sized bull huss on the island, but I think that's not a bad size for down here. But found him quite close in. Anyway, I'm gonna get this guy back and we'll get a few more baits out there and see if we can find anything else before we go. Anyway, say bye. Well, we've been fishing 2 hours. We've had 3 different species. And yeah, I was quite surprised by that bullace. I didn't realise that you get them down here, to be honest. I mean, I know he wasn't huge. He was just under £3. Thought it felt a weird fish when I was reeling it in, to be honest. So I'm pretty much on last cast here, about 25 minutes. Be just over 2 hours in total fishing. So if I give it 25 more minutes, it'll be about 2.5 hours in total. As little sessions go, it's not been bad. Goes to show what depth can do though, because although it is mega rough, that's a couple of different species that are out because there's a bit of depth here. I mean, it's not massively deep, don't get me wrong. We're only talking sort of 10 to 12 foot that we're fishing in here. Ooh. Is that on there? Well, 4th fish of the night, another eel. Again, not a massive one, but you know, they give quite ferocious bites down here. God, this one's strong. But yeah, he's keeping us busy. The eels do like the squid. That is one thing that they really are keen on. So anyway, let's get this guy back, and I might give that squid bait, if it's still intact, a little bit longer. If not, I might pack that one up. Right, let's get this guy back. Oh, bloody hell. Oh, don't know what that was. Wow, something took a massive bite out of the bottom of that. The whole underside of the belly is gone. Let's get that back out there. Well, I look forward to watching the footage back to find out what that looked like, because all I knew was the rod just flew round. Big old bite mark out the bottom of it. Oh, could fucking hell, it's suddenly gone very busy. Well, I've still got 10 minutes left on my original 25. Oh, another bite on that mackerel head, that mackerel piece. I think we're very much out of the bass situation at the moment. These are not remotely like bass bites. But as I was trying to say, I've still got 9 minutes until my original time that I was saying I was probably going to fish till. Oh, go on, go. 8 minutes. Every time I give you a countdown, it seems to make this one go. Would have loved to have known what that was earlier. Way. Oh. Right, I'm going to give this mackerel bait one last try. See if I can connect up with whatever is giving them bites. I'm pretty sure it's eels. But there's obviously something big out there because something took a huge chunk out of this earlier. 4 minutes until my original deadline. I wonder if it will go again. As I said, I'm pretty sure this is not bass. Quite solidly convinced it's eels. But like I said, that was a big chunky bait that was out there and something took a huge chunk out of the bottom of it. Right, so that's my original deadline, so I am going to bring the red one in now. But I'll leave the green one out while I pack up, and you never know. This feels like a better fish. Wow, that went like stink because it was a foul hooked bass. God, when that went then, I thought we might have got our biggie. But as it turned out, it was just a smaller foul hooked bass. But this lovely guy finishes off a really good 3-hour session. I think I'm literally just over the time, but yeah, what a beautiful fish. Anyway, I'm gonna pop this guy back and then I'm gonna say goodbye to you guys. Well guys, that was a bit of fun. Managed to get myself into a right mess with that last fish. And the way it sort of ran off, I thought we were into our proper fish. But what a lovely session. Anyway, if you are enjoying my videos, please don't forget to like and subscribe. And until my next video, I'll see you then.
It's all packed up. The lines are in, the tide has turned, the day's grown thin. So hit that sub, you won't wanna miss, 'cause Dangler will be back again to catch more fish.